Mediums come and go, but this lady that you're going to meet today is a part of the Couch in 2014. She has such a fantastic career ahead of her as a medium. She's actually very, very good, and we're going to meet her today. Welcome to the Couch, Rebecca Millman.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I call you a medium, but you do a lot of things, Rebecca. Tell us a bit about you.
Okay, I am what they call a spiritual medium, which means that I communicate with those that are crossed over and reunite people with those loved ones and friends. I'm also a psychic, which means I can predict the future and give guidance in people's lives in where they're heading. And also I do old-fashioned mediumship, so I run old-fashioned seances and things like that.
So you do the whole Ouija board and stuff like that?
No, it's a little bit different than that. I run two seances. One is a physical medium seance, and the other is what we call the Faces of Spirit seances. Now, the Faces of the Spirit seances is where the spirit world blends their energies with mine, and they overshadow the top of my face, and people can actually see the spirit's face over the top of mine.
Rebecca, I wanted to ask you, because I've always been curious. When you walk into a room, I know everybody sort of runs away and hides because they're always waiting to see if you see something or if you hear. Do you get that a lot?
Sometimes I do. I spend a lot of my time blocking it out too. So I just want to be what we call normal, I suppose.
Can you go to a party and do you like to just be yourself and not have to work?
That's
It's a
exactly
job,
right.
Obviously, being a medium, but you've obviously got that skill and that ability.
Yeah.
As a medium, have you ever had to channel someone, or if that's the word, bring somebody from who has crossed over and you haven't been very happy, or it's made you feel quite intimidated?
I did do a reading once for a lady whose father was coming through, and from the very start he was putting her down, and straight away I said to her, look, I've got your father here, but I don't think you want to communicate with him, and she said no. And so I asked him to step away, but he was very persistent, so I ended up having to call that reading to an end because he just would not leave her alone.
You get situations where you just don't want to do that reading for whatever reason. It just frightens you or it scares you away.
No, not so much it frightens or scares me away. It was more to the point that the reader didn't need to have a very domineering father put her down on from the other side like he did when he was here in the physical plane. So I chose to not do that type of reading. It doesn't happen very often. Maybe once every 10 years you'll get something like that.
Now, people are very sceptical, Rebecca, and I understand that. People either say, oh, I believe what she said, or didn't. I always find a good medium or a clairvoyant is someone that's never met you before and able to tell you about your life without knowing anything about you. Do you find people are very sceptical with your industry, or do you find you're winning people over? I'm
winning people over. Most of my clientele comes from word of mouth, and you know, I started off when I started doing it professionally to now I have an 8-month waiting list, and that's all just from word of mouth. But there are the skeptics out there, and there are the ones that come here for a reading and they sit there and they don't say a word, and I prefer them not to say a word because that way you can bring the truth, and by the time they end, the mouth is dropped and they're going, oh my God, how did she know all of that?
How long did you know you had this skill? How did it all begin for you? I mean, you obviously grew up as a normal kid. Yep. When did the kid become a clairvoyant or a medium?
I remember as a child watching what we call spirit lights move around the room, and they'd go in through the wall and out through the wall. Spirit lights are like a luminous ball of energy, and then what we call spirit in its natural form. And I can remember watching that as a child and not thinking there was anything abnormal about it. I thought everybody watched that when they went to sleep. It was like this light show. But it wasn't until I was probably about 25 that I really stopped fighting what was going on around me and went, oh, hang on a minute, this is all happening because of what I can do. So it was about 25 when I really embraced my mediumship.
So tell me, over your years that you've been doing this, have you ever had to do someone special, like a politician or a personality or someone that's quite well known in society? Do you take on those sort of roles?
I do take on some of those roles. I try not to use my clientele as like, this is who I've read for type thing. You know, everybody's private as well, yeah.
And what sort of things can you do for people? Like, people watching the show today are saying, oh, I wonder if she does readings. I wonder if we want to talk to Granddad, who's passed away 5 years ago. There's some mediums that can talk to animals.
Yep.
Tell me about you and what you can do for people.
I can do, I'm pretty lucky actually. I've got a very wide range of a gift. So sometimes I do bring through animals. I don't advertise that per se because it's not an area that I really want to go down. But I mainly do the mediumship, so bringing through proof of survival, telling people characteristics and events that happened in that person's life that only they would know, and then passing on messages of guidance from the spirit world. And the other type of reading I really focus on is more the psychic reading. So that's more past, present, and what may be coming up in a person's future.
And how does it work? If I'm at home now and I say, oh, she sounds really interesting, I'd love to give her a go, how do they do that?
They can go to my website and put their name on the waiting list. Unfortunately, I do have a little bit of a waiting list. But what I say to people is pop your name down, forget about it, and then by the time the 8 months come, you'll receive an email.
Can we give it a price of what you charge, or does it vary on what they want?
At the moment, it's $140.
That's not bad. That's for an hour or half an hour?
Yeah, that's an hour's reading.
And what's your website?
It is beyondthelight.com.au.
I know we're always limited on time, and it's nice to get to know, because I'm hoping in the 2014 we'll do a regular segment with you. Can I ask you, I'm going to put you on the spot, is there anything in particular you see about me that isn't going to offend anyone?
It isn't going to offend anyone.
Anything at all, just a quick reading.
I just feel like you're really, well, you've been re-energised, but there's still that sense of being tired around you. Does that make sense?
Yes, I came home from 6PR at about 6 a.m. this morning, so I'm really buggered.
Okay, but I don't feel like that's always going to be the case. And what I do feel is like you're a very giving person who really likes to help other people out. It's not because you want that praise from it or you want something in return. You actually like to help other people and give them that stepping stone. And I feel like you're really quite well respected because of that. What I'm also being told is that, I don't know if this is possibly going into a bit private.
Go for it.
Okay.
I'll edit it later.
Okay. With the private side of life, what I'm being told is that you're trying to settle a lot of things down in the family unit. Does that make sense? And it's almost like a roller coaster. You think you've gotten on top of it and then it's back up again, and it keeps going like this. What I'm being told is that there's a decision that has to be made in a direction that you really don't want to make that decision in. Does that make sense? Once you go down that area, there's going to be a sense of relief, but you just have to make that step forward.
So Mum and Dad, if you're watching, it's coming soon, that decision.
Okay.
Rebecca, can I just say to the people at home, because I know we need to wrap it up, I only just met you 10 or 15 minutes ago.
Yep.
We haven't spoken. Rebecca hasn't found out about me. I can tell you genuinely, all you said today, in the last 30 seconds to a minute, was spot on.
Thank you.
There's a lot of issues there, but you covered a lot without even knowing me and just meeting me. I'd love our viewers to trust you as well and maybe give her a go. If you'd like more information about Rebecca Millman, please go to our website. It is thecouch.com.au. Please write to us with any information, or you can contact Rebecca at her own website. There'll be a link on ours. Thank you very much. I look forward to working with you in 2014.
I'm looking forward to working with you.